Welcome to the Stop Over Drinking and Start Living podcast, where high-achieving, goal-oriented rebel women come to learn how to live a vibrant and fulfilling life without requiring alcohol to get through it. No labels, no judgments, no saying you'll never drink again. Just real proven methods to help you stop rebelling against yourself with alcohol so you can drink less and do more. I'm your host, Angela Mascenik. Let's dig in. Welcome to episode 100, celebrating 100 episodes of the Stop Over Drinking and Start Living podcast. Welcome to the 100th episode. Woo woo! Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you all to be here tonight. This is a podcast I have recorded live that is live for a lot of my longtime followers of the podcast, my clients, current clients, past clients, everyone that's been following along on the podcast are here tonight to watch me record this podcast live and to celebrate. And I'm just super thankful that you are all here. So I may cry a little bit during this episode, so please excuse me. And, if we have any blunders or technical issues, we'll work them out on the end. But we're going to dig in here. So to let you know how the format is going to roll, I'm going to share my favorite things about the podcast, what I've learned over the past 2 years of having this podcast, of being a life coach, some of my favorite things about producing it. And then I'm going to bring on some guests that have been on the podcast before. They might be current clients of mine, and they're going to share their favorite things and what they've learned from the podcast and give you guys a little inspiration if you're just now starting into this work, or maybe you're just now starting a coaching program. And we're just all super excited. I'm going to be sharing who's the prize winner on next week's podcast episode. So whoever showed up live tonight has an opportunity to win some amazing prizes. And we're going to talk about that at the end. And we'll wrap after that. So my favorite things about the podcast, I was writing about this in my journal this morning, and I have to say, my process of producing the podcast is probably my favorite thing. So every week I think about, usually I try to review the week before. So normally I write my podcast episodes on Mondays, and I think about the previous week, and I think about my clients, or any emails I've received, or anything that had happened in my life the previous week that was sort of repetitive. So if multiple clients, mentioned some issue, or I got several emails, or just seemed to be like a theme, then I try to sit down and write about that. So if anything's come up for me personally, if there's a theme with me coaching my clients, and I write. So I actually write and type out my whole podcast episode before I record it. I usually don't do it on the fly. This is a little bit more on the fly than I'm used to. Normally I'm reading a Word document and recording at the same time, but I'm not doing that today. I've just written an outline. So I do a little writing, and it takes me probably 45 minutes to write a whole episode. And I really love that time because it lets me really think. And I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not trying to answer questions in the moment. I'm really thinking about the ideas and how I want to explain them to you that makes the most sense, and it's a concept that you could grasp easily. And when we're talking about the brain, we're talking about alcohol, sometimes it's not so easy. I know so much because I've read so much, and I've had a lot of experience coaching so many people now, and I'm getting continuing education about it as well. But I like to take what I know in my brain and sort of churn it out so that you guys can listen to a podcast episode in 15 minutes and then run with it. So that's my favorite part because it helps me be creative, and I get to talk about whatever I want, any issues that are coming up in collectively as a group or in our society, all that good stuff. What was the other thing that was my favorite part? That's been my favorite part. And then just the collective volume of work that I have in my podcast, I'm super, super proud of. So, it's when you are working towards a goal, right? And you get closer towards your goal, and you have all the things that you've done leading up to that end goal. I feel like that is what this podcast, it's not going anywhere. I'm not changing it anytime soon, but I have 100 episodes. So I've got some cred, I've got some credibility out there now. And it's gone from when I first started it in January of 2019, the Stop Over Drinking and Start Living podcast, I had maybe 2,000 to 3,000 downloads a month, and now we're surpassing 15,000 downloads a month. So that is a huge amount of growth. We're over 160,000 downloads for the year in 2020. And I think just that volume of work and my dedication to doing every single week and writing new content or recording classes for y'all, I'm just super proud of. So that's one of my favorite things. And I also love hearing from you. When you get on the phone with me, if you're thinking about joining a program, or you send me an email just thanking me, like, that lights me up. I love your feedback from the podcast. It's super cool for me because I am like not used to this at all. Like, me and what I do in my life is so left field from how I was raised or anything like that. So when I hear from complete strangers, it literally melts my heart because I know that not everybody can join my coaching programs. And this is my way of giving back to helping as many people as I possibly can on a consistent basis and sharing what I know about stopping over drinking. So that's what I love the most about it. And I also love that we're celebrating 100 episodes tonight, but I actually have produced 144 podcast episodes. So before the Stop Over Drinking and Start Living podcast, I wrote and developed and produced a podcast called Lessons on Self-Coaching. And I did that for the whole year, my first year when I first joined a coaching program myself before I became a life coach, and I documented all of my lessons in how I coached myself to stop over drinking and to lose weight, and as I started my business. So in 2018, I had a whole different podcast called Lessons on Self-Coaching. Now that podcast has been archived off of the public internet, and now my paying clients have access to that, which is super cool. So I've been doing this. This is my third year of podcasting, and I think I keep getting better at it. I love exploring new ideas. I just love that I can always think of something to talk about. There's always one little tweak or one little feeling I can examine and talk about it and help you understand what I'm teaching and how you can work with your brain and your thoughts and your feelings to get the results that you want in your life. So that's what I love about it, and that's just sort of the themes that I want to have tonight. So I'm going to bring on the panelists now, and we are going to talk about what their favorite things are and their biggest lessons and their biggest successes. An announcement I have is the podcast is going to be going to YouTube this week. I'm super excited. We're going to be transforming our episodes into like little videos. So I'll probably send an email out to everybody saying go subscribe to my YouTube channel, but the podcast will also be there as well. So it's super accessible, and so more people can see it. So please share with your family and friends. All right, so now we have the panelists back on Zoom, and I'm super excited to have everybody here today. I'm going to just choose people randomly to kind of talk and share. I emailed everybody some questions that I wanted them to answer during the podcast today. But I thought we would start with Stephanie. Stephanie has been with me for going on a year now, and she's very wise. And she offers such amazing advice and support inside our coaching program. So I thought we could start with you, Stephanie. And some of the questions that I just wanted you guys to highlight were how much you've reduced your alcohol consumption. So like before you started listening to the podcast or coaching, how much you were drinking on a nightly basis and sort of like why you were drinking so much, and then get us caught up to, what you're drinking now. What's been your favorite thing about the podcast, and then any other improvements that you've noticed in your life since doing this work. And then the last question would be just any advice that you'd have for somebody just listening or just thinking about doing the work.
Okay, well, no one but my mother calls me Stephanie, and that's when I'm in trouble. So. I'm like, Stephanie, who's Stephanie? So I was adding up some things when you asked the question of how much did we used to drink, and I was a little mortified by how much I used to drink. And I figured that I would drink Monday through Thursday, or Sunday through Thursday. I would drink at least one Cosmo and 2 glasses of wine every single night. And on Saturday and Friday, I would at least add one more martini, if not 2. So that was a lot of alcohol for sure. Now if I have 15 drinks a month, so that was 100 drinks a month, basically. Wow. If I have 15 a month now, then that's a lot for me. So it's what, 80-85% that I've reduced the drinking. So that is, when I look at it like that, it's just like, wow, because I don't think I really paid attention to the numbers before. So It's pretty incredible to see that for sure. And I definitely, probably like a lot of other ladies, I drank from every feeling and emotion out there. I did it from stress, from sadness, from anger, from happiness, from, celebration, everything. It was every day there was a different feeling and reason to drink. So, the planning definitely takes the feeling and the emotion out of it. Really, the planning for your drinks for the week definitely makes it more of a neutral circumstance, and there's not all that drama surrounding it at all. So that's pretty amazing. And I cut back a lot. My plan is not to stop drinking altogether. That wasn't why I joined the program. I joined the program because I knew that I was seriously over drinking, and I felt like the alcohol was controlling me. I wasn't controlling it. And that was a really, that was upsetting. So yeah. I feel pretty proud of what, and when I do have a mishap or I go off plan, I have the tools and I know how to analyze it and evaluate it and then get myself back on track again. So there's no, there's no drama about it anymore, which is really amazing.
Yeah. How long do you think it took you to get to that sort of consistent reduction?
I was a little bit resistant in the beginning.
Yeah, you were.
I'm sure you did.
I do.
I pretty much fought you on almost everything in the beginning. So I would say it probably wasn't really until when I was going away on that girls' trip in March that I had coaching with you. So I had cut back in January, February, and I was making plans and stuff, but I wasn't 100% all in. And when I had that coaching call with you about my girls' week, and I was hemming and hawing on how to make a drink plan or what to, and you were just like, just fucking make it right now. Like right now, just fucking make it now. And I was like, okay.
Oh, Lord.
I'm on the spot here. But I did, and it was such a huge relief. I didn't stick to it 100%, but I had a plan going in. And then after that, when I realized, when I saw what I could do on a girls' weekend a week away, how I could reduce that, it just really, that's when it clicked in my brain that, there's this will work for me. Not this can work for me. This will work for me.
Love that thought. That's a good one. Yeah. So what's been your favorite thing about the podcast?
Well, you.
Aww.
Of course, it's you.
I was not expecting that at all.
100%. You're not preachy at all. You're edgy. You're extremely relatable. You're real. You teach us from your life experiences because you've been there where we have been. And you're no bullshit. I love the no bullshit. Like you say often, like, my job is not to be your best friend. My job is to be your coach. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you shit that you don't like to hear. And we all need to hear it. And I just think that, you teaching from your life experiences and you being so real, like that is everything. That's everything.
That's amazing. Thank you. So what do you want to tell people who are, maybe just they're new listeners or maybe they just joined the program, like one piece of advice about it all?
Do everything Angela tells you to do.
I was hoping you would say that. Yes.
100%.
I did not pay her to say that, I swear. I do tell you all that. Like, just do what I tell you to do. And if you do that, you will be successful.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right. Deidre, let's go to you.
Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Hi, everyone.
They're all waving.
This is great. Yay. So, do you want me to start with the list of questions?
Yeah. So just open up with how much you've reduced your alcohol intake, your favorite things, and then like a little lesson.
Okay. So I would say that I reduced by about at least 50%. I've been in a program for, I think this is just my 5th month. And before joining, I literally was like a bottle of wine a day. And on the weekends, I'd add a couple of martinis to that. So when you said you were like 100 drinks a month, yeah, I'm right there with you. And I joined because my best friend actually sent me a link to your podcast, and I started listening to it. And I was like, oh my God, this is kind of putting it all into place. Like when I started hearing what you were saying, it was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I needed. So going back to where was I drinking from? I was like on autopilot. It was like, nighttime came, okay, open the bottle of wine and just kind of sit there and veg out and watch Netflix and, go to bed and have the whole heart palpitations and pounding heart and things. And I didn't connect the dots that was from the drinking. I just thought that I need more vitamin B or, I need to get to bed earlier or something like that. And then, I'd wake up the next day and I was always waking up with like this feeling of dread. I had this constant state of anxiety. And I just started the cycle all over again. And I just could not get out of it. So I would say that how that's changed now, and this was like one of the things when I first heard one of your podcasts, was like, you said that we have control. And I was like, oh my God, I have control. It was always like in my head, it's like, okay, it's time to drink. Okay, it's time to drink. And I was like, wait, you mean I can just say no? I can just stop? And, the things that you teach us about the brain and these thoughts in our head and how we can challenge those thoughts. That was like totally revolutionary news to me. And when I started to, follow that principle, it's like, okay, I don't have to listen to every little fucking thought that comes in my head. I can say, no, we don't need that. We don't think like that.
Yeah.
So,
when I learned that too myself, it was just like, wait, what? I mean, it's not like, of course we know it's true, right? Because we change our mind about things all the time, right?
Right.
But it's like changing your mind, like, oh, make a decision, I can change my mind about it. But like changing the way you actually think about things and like yourself and about your relationship with alcohol. Like I didn't know that either. And I was like, holy heck, that's amazing,
Right. And then I could actually plan how I wanted to feel about something. I was like, whoa, no way.
Yeah.
No, I'm supposed to, feel something and then, try to manage that feeling. I can actually plan how I'm going to feel about something. So just this whole idea of control and that I didn't have to be on autopilot, that was like, that has really changed a lot. So one of my favorite things about the podcast is that, and you alluded to this earlier, you give us such deep lessons in such bite-sized pieces. Because I listen to you usually when I'm on a run in the morning. So like, I do my run, I listen to Angela, I get my, my mojo going for the day. I got my piece of advice for the day. I know what to do. And you really just kind of go deep into these topics, but you do it in a way that's just so like eye-opening. And I swear, sometimes I hear, in the background when you when you put together a concept, and I'm like, oh my God, that's it. It makes so much sense. So I love that.
I love that we all share the same thoughts. Like that is one of my favorite things, like in coaching you all and like hearing from y'all, everyone says like, it's like you're in my head. You know exactly what I'm thinking. I'm like, yeah, we all have the same thoughts. It's crazy.
Right.
Right. I didn't know that happened before this work.
I didn't know there were other women out there that was going through like the exact same things that I was going through. And so, that's been just incredibly supportive. I was skeptical at first when I joined the program and I found out it was like a group thing and not the one-to-one. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's not going to work. And then I'm so glad it is this because it's like, it triples the amount of support that you get, having access to other women that are in the same boat. So I really like that. Other improvements that I've experienced, aside from reduced drinking, is I just think differently. I don't think that other people have the ability to make me feel a certain way. I know that I'm responsible for how I feel. I can control how I feel. And you talk about having your own back a lot. And I've been really, really thinking about that and, what self-love and what, self-reliancy, being self-reliant really means. And you said it on one podcast, it's not about taking baths and going to the spa and, drinking champagne. It's about having a plan, honoring your commitments to yourself, saying no, setting boundaries, and all that is okay, right? Mm-hmm. It's all okay for you to do that. That is what self-love is. So I think that, the biggest other improvement is that you just cleared the gunk out of my head. I literally feel like, you took a shovel and just kind of went in there and just cleared it out. So.
Yeah. You wrote in one time that like your anxiety has significantly reduced. Like you don't have that anxiety every time you wake up in the morning.
I don't. I used to wake up every day and it was just like a sense of dread. Like, oh, what about? And I just thought that it just became normal after a while. And I just, I was just so sad all the time and not really connecting the dots between, hey, when you drink a bottle of wine at night, you're not going to wake up happy.
Right. So true. Nobody wakes up happy after that. No. That might be a good podcast title, actually.
Right? A good title.
Yeah. Oh, fun. So what would you say to people?
Advice that I would give them.
No, that's what I was going to ask you.
Give someone. It's just like Steph said. It's like it's a recipe. It really is a recipe, and just be open to it. The journaling, I think, is so important, and the way that you talk about it. Just write what's in your head. It doesn't have to be complete sentences or make sense. Just write what's in your head. And I've uncovered so many things just by doing that. And really being able to see, oh my gosh, okay, this is what you're thinking. And if you keep thinking that way, this is what's going to happen, and you plug it into the model. So it's a recipe, follow it, be open, and you will discover so much shit.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your contributions in the group too.
Angela.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's been such a pleasure to have you. Every time you come in, and I can tell you want to be a good student. Is that part of your MO is like,
I know.
It is. And you come into the group and you're you have your models and it's very well thought out and it's just it adds so much value to everybody else because when they read that, it's everybody learns from it. So thank you for that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. All right, Lori, we're going to you.
Okay.
Hi.
Congratulations.
Thank you. How are you?
Fantastic.
Good. Where are you in the world right now?
I just got to Tennessee about 2 hours ago.
Oh my
so
God.
Driving from Minnesota the last 3 days.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for making it. You're a trooper.
So we're in Tennessee. For good. Or for a little bit at least.
Yeah. So you guys, Lori has been on the podcast. Lori and I coached together was it in 2018? No, 2019.
Yeah, November and December.
Yeah. And Lori I had a whole podcast episode with Lori, so I wanted her to come back. So it's been a year later, right? Yeah. Yep. So why don't you just give us same little thing, how much you were drinking before, what it looks like now, your favorite things, all the stuff.
So good. Yeah. So I was just like Deidre, I was a bottle of wine a night, then cocktails somehow added on to that. And that just went on for years. And I tried to stop drinking for about 3 years. And for probably a year before I found you, I was listening to, I wake up every morning, you're not going to drink tonight, so that went on. And then I listened to recovery podcasts on my way to work. And then I get in my car on my way home and I'm I cannot wait to start drinking again. Mm-hmm. And I would then the cycle just continued. So just completely rewarding that habit. So that went on for about 5 years. And then I found your podcast. And I really feel I wish I would have had dates, but it was pretty soon on. It was a different approach. Mm-hmm. And I just had this sense that I would listen to you. I knew before, when I was thinking about, you'd always say, do you want to work with me afterwards? And it was when you were doing the one-on-one, right before you did your group coaching. And so I just knew that I would listen to you. So I called you and signed up, and it was a yes from before I even started talking to you. So that has shifted down, and planning, just like Steph and Deidre said, planning has been key for me, and the journaling. So it's and I also, I haven't completely quit, but I've gone down to 3 a month.
Wow.
Like on a Friday. So quite significantly less. So I'm extremely happy with that. And I don't have any drama over it. I don't have any thinking about it. I just spent time with my family very briefly on the way down, and they're drinkers, and it's just like they asked, "Do you want a glass of wine?" I'm like, "No, I don't." And there's just not an issue about it, and I'm so proud of myself for that. Just
it's amazing.
So proud of myself.
It's amazing.
So,
how long did it take you to get to that point?
That's one of the things I wrote in here is that, I remember it was like voodoo the first month, because I'm like, Angela, I was very diligent with the journaling.
Mm-hmm.
Like I cut out all the TV. I would just come home from work and start journaling and enjoying what was going on and doing the urges and just being like into the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So within 4 weeks, I remember we had the conversation. I'm like it's working. Like, is it going to get any harder? That was one of my questions to you.
Yeah.
And you're like, just stick with it, just every day, just stick with it. And the thought work and the, writing the thought that I wanted over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So then I had a little, like when COVID hit and I was off work for a little bit, I was drinking a little more than I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't planning. We were getting the house ready to sell. And then we had my anniversary where I planned way too much alcohol.
I remember that. Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Really don't want to do that. So, since March, April, it's been like 3 a month, just not a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm just, like I said, I'm really happy with that.
That's awesome. That's quite the reduction, like 90% or something, do you think?
It was a big reduction, although I really liked what Steph did with the math.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, I didn't do the math.
That's okay. We'll just say at least 90%.
It's a lot. So, but just a lot of little shifts in thought really changed my self-concept, and that whole self-love and the honoring my commitment was huge.
Yeah.
And then planning. So,
yeah.
So my feelings before I identified were just always like boredom, and I was pissed at my job. So there was that issue, and just that restlessness in the habit. And with you teaching the brain work, I think that's what's cool about the podcast is you just piece in a lot of brains, just what the brain's doing and why we have that desire. Like it made complete sense to me what that desire was coming from. And when I look back to see what was happening in my life, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm completely rewarding a irritation about a job with every single night. So it's just expecting it. I mean, I'm like coming home from work and it's pouring wine, and sometimes 2. I could do 2 bottles. There's nothing that I could just do it. And then like everybody says, like the 3 a.m. sweats and feeling crappy, and why did I do that? And so I'm so much happier.
So what else besides not drinking so much has been improved?
Oh, okay. So Angela, my mom reminded me of this. So Thanksgiving last year, I had been with you for probably 4 weeks, and I see my family. It's 2019, and I'm like, okay, I'm seeing a life coach. Like, this is absolutely amazing. And I want to do this. Like, I want to do this. And my mom's just sitting there, and my brother's asking me about it. And I'm like, I think I want to coach healthcare leaders. Like, this is a really hard job, and blah, 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 blah. So anyways, I signed up for life coach school in February. I just was like, I have to do this. This is amazing. So I became a certified life coach, and I just retired from nursing Wednesday after 33 years of a fabulous nursing career. So, and I'm pivoting, and I'm a life coach now. I'm starting a business down here online, and I want to coach healthcare leaders. So
congratulations. And
I bet I'll find a couple that are over drinking.
Yeah. You might find a few.
Yes,
Well, that is amazing. So you had a very similar experience to me. Like it was so life-changing for you that you had to do it, right? Yeah. So fun.
Like, this is amazing. Like I just thought I can do this. Like this, and as a nurse, I like that helping.
Yeah.
It's just in a different way. But
yeah.
So once Dwayne said he wanted to spend no more winters in Minnesota, and he wanted to move to Tennessee. I'm like, well, I'm not going back to nursing. I just certified as a life coach, and this is where we're going. So.
That is amazing. Congratulations. So what would you say to anybody just picking up the podcast, or maybe just thinking about joining the program, or thinking about digging in and doing it?
Definitely listen to what you're saying, but I also wrote down to ask yourself, like, as you're like seriously asking yourself, do you really want to reduce your drinking? Like, is that really something you want to do? And if you want to do it, you absolutely can. And you can do it with the tools that are on the podcast, but having that accountability within a program is amazing. To have that coach, just like to put forth the investment in yourself, to know that you matter and that you're worth it. I wouldn't have said those things. That wasn't what I was coming in. Those were foreign concepts to me, but you do, and it's amazing. So thank you so much. You have done so much for me, and I've done some crying on my way down, like thinking about you and like my changes in my life, and I'm like, I'm probably gonna start crying when I talk to her, but I feel pretty good right now, and I'm so happy for you.
Thank you so much, Lori. You're amazing, and when you have your thing set up, please let me know so I can share it with all the people.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we're gonna go to Jeannie.
Hi,
Jeannie. How are you? You look beautiful.
Well, thank you. I'm not as prepared probably as Deirdre. I'm kind of one of those throw it all together last minute type of people, but that's
well,
okay.
I wanted to have you on specifically because you're just wrapping up your 6 months right now, and you know when we meet, just so everybody knows, at the end, if you guys join the coaching program, we meet together with people that signed up around the same time, and we kind of go over the successes and what's changed. And what you said in that meeting, Jeannie, just kind of blew my mind. Like the thought that you had, you want to share that with everybody about what you thought for 25 plus years about yourself?
Oh, yeah, I had written it down, something like I realized I'm not an old drunken alcoholic. You know, that's what I carried around for 35 years, thinking, because I just drank. If I wasn't pregnant, then I was drinking, and I was drinking almost every day. And it was just, finally now I understand the whole concept of just your mind. You know, I always said, I thought I was, you know, now that I realize I was like that Pavlov's dog, you know, and he's getting a treat. And, you know, I remember saying, you know, I would walk out to the garage where the beer is kept in the refrigerator, and my mouth would just start watering. And I wasn't even going for a beer. I might be going out to take the trash out at 9 a.m. in the morning, you know, and it's just the strangest thing. But then to be able to follow the program and be told how you're, you know, it seems simple, but if you're not thinking about it, you know, my head is just, all these years, it's like, get home from work, get a beer. The kids come home from school, you get a beer. You just, because I drink beer, sometimes I would switch off and on, but I mean, I drank every day, probably at least 4 beers, 5 to 6 days a week. For sure 6 if I didn't have a really bad hangover, then I might give myself a day's break. It was nothing to usually sometimes finish a 6-pack. And I really thought that there was no way out of that cycle, because I talked to myself about maybe secretly going to another town to go to AA. Maybe that would help me. I even went to a doctor one time, and she gave me some medicine. And that helped for a brief period, but I don't remember why I quit taking it or whatever. It was all secret though, you know. And this was secret for a while, but I feel comfortable enough now knowing that I'm not an alcoholic. And so it took time for me to understand who I am and how to get out of that cycle.
Yeah.
And now I might drink 1 beer 2 times a week. And a lot of times I always drink kind of fancy expensive beers sometimes. I didn't before. It was always just pound down as many Bud Lights I could get in. But then I kind of started drinking these expensive beers. But now I kind of taste it and I don't even like the taste. And I look at myself and think, okay, are you going to make yourself drink that just because it costs $4? And then I'm like, no, that's ridiculous. Just pour it down the sink.
Yeah.
You know? And my husband looks at me like, why are you pouring that beer out? And I'm like, I don't like the taste of it. And he's just like, who is this woman I'm married to now? You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, that is
Yeah.
like, I'm probably not going to cry right this second, but this is why I do what I do. Because if women like you can change and women like me and like everybody here on this call can do this, it's possible for anybody. I truly, truly believe that. For you to think that, for you to be so desperate that you were thinking about going to another town to be in secret about how to fix this problem, like that was a big problem for you, right? Like for 35 years in your life. Yeah. And to get where you are in 6 months, it blows my mind still. Like it just gives me the chills that you can do this, you know?
I just can't believe it either because I am not planning every day of my life and every event of when I'm going to get to drink, how I might get home, when can I start, and it's just amazing. It's just unreal. And I remember even at month 3, maybe even 4, I was still kind of like, I really think I can maybe do this, but it's got to be a trick. It can't be for real. And then just also the feeling part of it to have the positive self-talk now, you know, and you know, every day I'm talking to myself. I might do something. I'm like, nope, that's not how, you know. And so just having that reminder, and that's where the podcasts are really good, because if the coaching is not there or something goes on, you have a problem, you can go to those podcasts and find something specifically that maybe you're just having problems with, or you just need to hear your cute little voice and giggle. So.
Oh, love it. What would you tell somebody that maybe, if they're just listening to the podcast for the first time or thinking about joining a coaching program, what would you say?
Well, I would say for sure do it. If you're having a problem, the coaching, it will work 100%. And the podcasts, they're just good stepping stones. They're there. They can be there as many hours as you need in a day. And you're always going to learn something about yourself. You'll say one little thing, and it'll come to your mind. It's like, oh, that's why I did that. Or, oh yeah, it helps you think about stuff that you normally would not think about. You wouldn't process it the way that maybe you, how you explain it and stuff.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jeannie. Any other final words you'd like to share?
Oh, I'm just so glad I did it when you called me. And I was like, and you know how Angela is. She says, just do it. Don't hem-haw about it. Just do it. Say it.
Yes.
Make it.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm just so glad I did it.
Thank you so much.
So glad I did it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Liz, we're going to go to you.
Well, great. So I started in January, and I actually started because I was over drinking, probably I would say like about a bottle a night. And I think I was taking on the responsibility of my whole family, of my two teenage son who was applying to college, as my college daughter, and my husband, and just feeling that I was responsible for keeping the whole ship going forward and worrying about everyone's emotions and everything like that, and kind of really just keeping up a charade. And then I found out about 6 weeks into the program that my husband was having an affair. And so that blew my world up. And I remember, Angela, I was going to come on and talk about my mom who had died and about my grief. And I wasn't going to even talk about the affair. And then
midway through, I just broke down and just told everyone about what was going on. And it was such a huge relief for me to be able to be vulnerable like that. I had never really done that in a quasi, public setting. So that just like flipped a switch for me. And I just think that I was able to come into being a lot more of my authentic self and just giving myself permission to be a lot more real than I had been ever before. And just, not trying to keep up a pretense, but just actually get to to evaluate like what my thoughts really were and what I was really thinking about myself. And it's really changed me a lot. And I have learned that like I can't control anybody but myself. Yeah. And so just by working on me, a lot of my relationships have improved dramatically. And I think that this program helped me at a time when my life was really in crisis, and I could have, gone up to 2 bottles a day rather than learn how to really, really think about my thoughts and feelings and get down to probably 0 to 1 bottles of wine a week instead of 5. So it's really been life-changing for me. I would say that one of the best aspects of this coaching for me has been the community, and seeing what everybody else is going through and not feeling alone, and the connection and the ability to reach out anytime. It's really just opened my eyes to how big of a problem this is for people and how equipped we all are actually to overcome it. So I'm really grateful.
I love that. We are all so equipped to overcome this. Like seriously, like the people here and listeners, if a lot of people do this on their own without ever signing up too. Like I hear all the time from podcast listeners that they've stopped over drinking and done the work, pieced it together and done it on their own. We are all 100%. Like I fully believe that we're all capable of it. Our brain is an amazing piece of equipment that once we learn how to start using it to our advantage, there's nothing we can't do. So I love that. And I love that you love the community too. I mean, you've been a huge contributor too into the group. And when you show up and coach and offer yourself and your vulnerabilities, everybody gets to benefit from that. I mean, it's been, for me, this group program too has been, I love private coaching because I got to know my clients so well, and we worked together privately previously too. But the group aspect is like abundance, and the connections and the friendships that you guys have made offline and stuff. Like, it's wild.
Right. And we can't wait until COVID ends.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Like if we were not in COVID right now, we would all be together. Like this would have been like a planned in-person event. Yeah.
It's going to be lifelong friends.
Yes. So what would you say to somebody just starting out?
Just start. You shouldn't suffer in silence. It's ridiculous. Just come and learn and be with people who understand what you're going through and can connect with you and help you. And why wouldn't you want to do that?
Yeah. Love it. Thank you, Liz. All right, we're going to go to Karen G. Hi, Karen.
Hi. Can you see me okay and hear me?
Yeah. Karen is calling all the way in from Australia, y'all.
Long way away. I've snuck out from the office to do this, so I've been very much looking forward to it.
Yes.
From what I've seen and heard, sounds a blast.
Yes. So we're just going around the horn and we're talking about how much you were drinking before you found the podcast and kind of compare how much you reduced your alcohol consumption to now. Your favorite things about the podcast and any advice you'd give to somebody just starting to listen to the podcast or thinking about joining the coaching program.
Well, I was a all or nothing person with food and probably everything really. I had done many 12-week challenges where I'd given up alcohol, and I just realised that the moment I'd be looking at my diary and on, when it finished on the 1st of whatever, it would be yes, and back I'd go. And I basically got to the point probably over the last 4 or 5 years where I was just I noticed I was starting to regularly drink like in the week. And so I just asked my husband, because I'm really bad at percentages, I said, so if I was drinking this much before and now I'm drinking this much, how much have I actually cut down by percentages? because he's a tax accountant. He said, honey, 80%. And I just said,
wow.
Yeah. I said, oh my gosh, you're kidding. And he said, yeah. And he just said, wow, well done. So, yeah, 75 to 80% reduction, which is just huge. And, I just feel like it's actually brought about a sense of consistency and calmness to me, which is really what I wanted. I think I said to you in the beginning, I'm really great at stopping, but it's actually living that I, the sort of living this life where, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to give up altogether if what I wanted. And at the moment, I want to be that person that can drink on the weekends and just decide that I'll have 2 glasses or whatever. And I actually can say I can do that now. And I honestly never thought I'd be able to do that. It's actually huge.
It's amazing. So good.
Yeah. And I just, what was the other question?
Anything else that's improved for you besides reducing how much you're drinking?
Oh, well, everything has. Like my whole, I think my whole consistency in my life. I'd never journaled before, and I did take a while to get going with that. But that the planning and you teaching and coaching me how to write, which, in the beginning was just keeps. I remember I can hear you saying, just write and write and write.
Just write.
That's it. Right. In your lovely accent. And I'm saying to David, my husband, I'm just writing. And but now I still do.
Oh my God.
And look, my relationships are better. I love that, that I've learned that I've had a lot of manuals going through a lot of people in my life, and I'm working on reducing those manuals. And look, I've just got so much out of it. It's the whole, I love with the coaching program, I love the community, all those girls, those chicks. So I feel like they're my friends and they're like miles away from me, but it just doesn't matter. And like Liz said, you battle, I think, and I think that's where the podcast was such a help to me, was as I listened to you talk about your experience in the podcast and then some of your coaching clients, Wendy stood out in me, I thought, oh, wow, there's just so many people that are exactly the same as me. And you do feel like you're the only person that's kind of saying, oh, shit, shall I have that wine? Oh, I don't want it. And it's this chatter in my head has just gone. I just love that. Because there's room for other things.
Yeah. That's where the living part comes in, right?
Yeah. And that part, I actually said to my husband the other day, Angela's course and podcast is Stop Over Drinking and Start Living. And for me, I really feel the Start Living is the massive part of it. And it's interesting when I'm just organising our work Christmas function, and I think I've said it, we're quite a partying culture here, and they're all saying, oh, make sure we've got Negronis or some sort of cocktail thing. And I'm looking and I'm saying, oh, they've got amazing non-alcoholic drinks. Can we put some of those on the list? And everyone's like, okay, yeah. And it's changed me a lot, yeah.
That's amazing. So what would you tell somebody just starting out with a podcast or thinking about doing some of this work?
I would just, I actually found you, I think I was looking back in my emails, it was early 2019, and I was listening, and you just keep thinking, oh, I can do it by myself, and lots of people can, but if you have at all that kind of, shall I do it, just jump in. The thing that frightened me, I think, was I thought, 6 months, and I'd look along and think, oh, that means it's going to take me till November. That's just way too long. But hey, you need 6 months, and more and more and more, because the Start Living is forever. Yeah. So 6 months is just nothing, and that's the thing that put me off. I thought, I just want a 5-week thing. I think I asked you, can I just do it by the week? Thinking, I'll just smash this out in a week. Well, right. No, I've learned a lot, that it takes a lot more, and enjoy the slowness. I think that's something that's been a big learning curve for me. Enjoy the fact that you said to me, don't be in a rush. And I think that's great advice. And I think you say that a lot in the podcast, it's just, take each day. So don't hesitate. Just if you're listening and thinking, shall I just do it? The Nike, awesome. Just do it.
Thank you so much, Karen. You're a joy to have in the group too.
What do I like best about the podcast?
Yeah.
You. Because you're amazing. You're so authentic. And I think that I said to friends, you've got to listen to this chick. She's just so real, the swearing and that. I just think that's awesome, If people don't like it, go listen to someone else.
That's right. Yeah. Or just manage your thoughts around my swearing. I can teach you how to do that. So good.
And I'll have to go back to work, so I will listen and watch this later, girls.
Okay.
So,
Thank you so much, Karen.
Thank you.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, we're going to go to Amy. Hi. Welcome back. Third time on the podcast.
I know.
Celebrity status.
You can imagine what's my the most... The reason I love the podcast the most is because I've been on it 3 times now.
Yes. Celebrity status. So good. So, Amy, I think you were my first interview, weren't you?
When?
On the podcast. Ever. I think you were.
Cool.
Yeah. So you're back now, and we just had your 1-year post-coaching celebration.
Yeah.
So for those of you that haven't listened to that podcast, Amy's been on twice. First, right after we finished, we private coached in 2019 together. And then I had her back on 1 year later after we finished coaching together, and she shared her successes and how she's been able to maintain all the things. So I wanted to definitely include Amy on the podcast just to give a little wisdom and some advice and to sort of encourage other people. So Amy, tell us about how much you've reduced, what percentage with alcohol?
Sure. I didn't do the math like Stephanie did, but I did just think about it. I went from drinking about 5 times a week, 4 to 6 drinks a night. Mm-hmm. And now I would say I'm down about 80%. I drink 1 to 2 times a week, and I'll have 1 or 2, mm-hmm. and they're planned. And if I'm feeling those negative feelings before I drink that I used to feel before that was the reason I drank, mm-hmm. I try to just hold back and just say, all right, I'm not going to drink right now. Mm-hmm. I need to work this out, feel my feelings, mm-hmm. and then I can move on, enjoy my glass of wine or something. So
yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And you've also lost a significant amount of weight too, right?
Yes. I lost 56 pounds and I've maintained that. And so that's been exciting. What's cool is it opens up the door for people to ask me what I've done, mm-hmm. and so I can talk about it with people. Mm-hmm. It's that tangible thing that people can see. Mm-hmm. So that opens up a lot of doors to kind of discussing. And some people are so weirded out by it that they stop talking to me, and I'm like, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Other people are so into it and they can't get enough.
Yeah. What have been your other, besides the weight loss and the over drinking, what else do you think has improved since coaching?
Relationships, dropping manuals for people. That was huge. I mean, it's something that I still work on every single day. But that was really big for me. I would say just self-love, mm-hmm. and being proud of myself, even if I have a failure, it's mm-hmm. okay. And, mm-hmm. I have the tools. I know how to work through it. I know how to get through it. And just being overall happier, mm-hmm. just overall.
Yeah. Just if you think about all of the same, I talk about how we have the same repetitive thought load every single day. So we have 60,000 thoughts a day. 90% of those thoughts are on repeat. So if you're not managing your brain and you are feeling stuck, I'm just talking in general here, we have the same thoughts that we have about work, this sucks, I'm overwhelmed, as we do about maybe our relationships and our kids and our home, right? And it carries over. And then that just sort of blankets our experience in our life as just kind of being sucky or feeling like we're stuck, right? So when you kind of work away and chip away at those different buckets and identify those types of thoughts and start changing them, then we feel better about the life, right? And start doing more of the things that we love. That's the part that I love the most.
Yeah, interrupting those thought patterns and just, no, we don't think like this anymore. And somebody else mentioned just the thought of planning what you're going to feel, it works so well. And I just remember you always say, well, how do you want to feel?
Right.
And that was really huge for me. Just being wow, I can actually plan how I want to feel. and it works.
Yes.
It's
We
really
don't
amazing.
just have to just be in the effect of our feelings and our automatic brain thoughts all the time. Like, it's wild. Like sometimes we will, like if something happens, right, that's kind of like unexpected, we'll have an emotion and all of that. But then we can decide going forward how we want to think and feel about it and change all that. So it's amazing.
Not be reactive to it.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool.
Oh, and then, but the other thing about my favorite part of the podcast is when I was in coaching with you, it's exactly what I was thinking. I felt like you were talking to me, like just to me, not anyone else. It was like these were absolutely for me. So I thought that was really cool. And now I just love them because they're fun and exciting, and I love like-minded people, and it's a good time.
Yeah. So what would you tell somebody that's brand new to the podcast, or, I like to say too, like if you're just listening to the podcast, actually do what I'm telling you in the podcast too. Not just even if you're a client of mine, just like do the work. Like if I say go to your journal and write out what you're thinking about this, actually do that.
Yeah, I would say that you get so much more than you even bargained for. Like I never in a million years thought, we would touch on all these different things that affect your life and affect your drinking. And so you just really, you get so much more, and to just be completely open-minded, but it's worth every moment. It's worth every ounce of effort that you put in.
Yeah. I love that too.
You get back tenfold.
Yes, I feel the same way. I love, like, when we think about why we're over drinking, it's not about just alcohol, right? It's about what we think about our relationships and our life and our work and ourselves. So that's what coaching gives us an opportunity to look at and dissect, is like all the different buckets of our life. And then we see when we think certain ways and we are at the effect of our feelings, why it causes the over drinking. So really it's not about the alcohol. It's about our life, right?
And that's why having you as a coach to point those things out, like I could listen to the podcast, it's wonderful, and I could do the work that was in it, but without a coach to be there to be like, nah, think of it this way, or like asking me how I feel about it, and then saying, well, maybe we should shift that thought because that's not working for you.
Yeah.
Like that's where the key for me was to really uncover those thoughts, because like you said, they're just running in the back of your head without you even thinking about them.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else you want to say?
I think we covered it. Oh, one big surprise for me also was to realize that I can actually have a really fun time not being drunk.
Yes. Yes. I think that is a big fear for a lot of people. They think that their life is going to be over. Like when they sign up for this program or start doing this work, it's like they're not going to see their friends, their family members are going to have all these thoughts about them. Like it's a legit concern. Thank you for saying that. Do you want to dive into that deeper? I mean, it's an adjustment, right? When you're first at a party, I remember working and talking to you about it, and you're like awkward and, but
like thinking back, like how uncomfortable it was.
Yeah.
And like really, I was into it 100%, I hear an alarm going off in my house. But all right, what were we talking about?
Oh, just your social awkwardness in the beginning, but now how it's like you have fun now, right? Like that's a temporary thing, and now it's like it's no big deal, right? Like Lori was saying, she's like, no thanks, and that's it. Like it's just a no thanks without any drama.
Right. Yep.
So
and then you can still go on and have fun.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Yeah. And then other people see that because, it's like, there are the people that do look at you like, oh, she's not drinking, she's not going to have fun. And then there you are having fun, and it's great.
Yeah, so good. Thank you, Amy.
Yeah, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Bye. All right, we're going to go to Michelle. Do you guys how I'm just picking you randomly?
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. So my drinking.
Yeah.
So when I started with you, I would say I was drinking between 3 to 5 glasses of wine at night. So probably about a bottle pretty consistently. And once COVID hit and I was at home all the time, I noticed it was increasing. Like I could easily drink a bottle and a half of wine. And I started getting pretty freaked out. I I'd always been aware that I drank more than I felt I should, but that just sort of was like a kick in the pants to me. So yeah, I was also thinking about how when I applied for your program for coaching, I remember asking, you know, on average, how much do these women reduce their intake? And you said about 80% on average. And it's like, there is no way that happens. Like, there is just no way. And here I am, like, down to, you know, 3 or 4 drinks a week.
Yeah.
So it happens. It works. It's like mind-boggling to me, really.
Yeah.
But it's been great. Yeah.
It's amazing.
So, thank you.
What other improvements have you had besides drinking less?
God, everything, really. Like a lot of the other women have said, relationships are definitely improved. I would often sort of bottle up my emotions until they exploded. And now I find it's a lot easier to address things while they're happening, or just to say, I'm taking a break for a couple of minutes and then come back and talk through things. I feel much more self-aware. You know, I always felt like I needed to please everyone and give and give and give. And now I'm just much more aware of my boundaries and how I give from a much more loving and authentic place when I mean yes, you know. So saying no is no longer a bad thing to me.
Yeah.
So that's been amazing.
I love that. It's like, that's what I say. I talk about planning a lot. You guys, if you've been listening to the podcast, it's a lot about planning and making your decisions ahead of time. Same thing with, your boundaries with yourself. And like, when you say yes to, okay, I'm going to have a drink, I'm going to be intentional about it, or I'm going to have a slice of pizza and it's going to be really good. And then you can fully enjoy that experience. It's the same thing with saying yes to other people, right? Like when you say yes, it's like intentional. It's what you want to do. And then you can go there and do that and show up and not be like resentful to them later for it, right? Same thing with like, well, I'm going to drink and I'm going to beat myself up after I made the decision to drink, right? It's the same type of thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I also feel like I'm much more in charge of my own destiny and my own life. I used to feel like I was controlled by all of these outside forces and other people and what they thought about me and this and that. And I've just like let go of all that stuff, you know, and I'm like, I'm in charge of my life and I can do what I want and I can accomplish whatever I set out to accomplish.
It's amazing. Yeah.
You've taught me that I'm a badass.
You are a badass. We all are badasses. We just need to learn how to tap into it.
And that's amazing. I mean, I know everyone else has said that, but just having the support of you, but also all the other women in the group. I mean, everyone here is just incredible. And it's so warming and supportive to know that you're not alone with these struggles or thoughts. And you can be open and vulnerable and just
share the truth, right? Like there's so much shame with women and drinking and all, we don't want to talk to our friends and family about it because we don't want to have the label attached. But to come into a group coaching program like this and be willing to share, and that people aren't going to judge you, be like, well, you need to go to AA, you need to stop drinking immediately, and like all that stuff. And then like, oh my gosh, you're drinking? I thought you were going to be cutting back and now you're drinking again. Like there's just none of that here, right? It's just like, we're loving, we're all in it together. It's just a very beautiful experience to go in and feel safe and be willing to explore the failures and the wins and celebrate together. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. So what's your favorite thing about the podcast?
Oh, well, you, of course.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
I love your authenticity and how excited you get about whatever topic it is you're talking about. I mean, and you cover every topic under the sun, right? I mean, it's not just about drinking, it's relationships and grief and politics and racism and, you know, these heavy, heavy things, but you're just very authentic and open. And I would say also very generous with your own personal stories and experiences, which, you know, makes it so relatable and easy to connect to, I'd say.
Great.
Yeah.
So what would you say to somebody listening to the podcast for the first time or thinking about coaching?
Well, I would say absolutely join the coaching program for sure. Like everyone else has said, just do what Angela tells you. And to be open to failures also. You know, I know when I started, I was like, I have to get this right. I can't screw up. But, you know, I've had drinks off plan, a lot of drinks off plan, but I don't beat myself up for them. I look at them as a learning experience.
Yeah.
I work through a model or what I would do differently, and I move on, and that's it. You know, there's no judgment.
Yeah.
Nothing's gone wrong.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think just like if everybody could remove the shame and guilt that they would have about over drinking, they just automatically drink less. Because when we're beating ourselves up about it, it just causes us to feel terrible, which we know our feelings drive our actions, and then we end up drinking more. So that alone is huge. You know, like you don't have to be living in shame if you drink more than what's on your drink plan. Like it's totally optional. It's good.
Yeah. And a lot of the chatter has disappeared also. I noticed that very early on, actually. Just, you know, I would drink. It was constant. I would drink too much at night, wake up in the morning feeling like crap, saying I wasn't going to drink. And then by mid-afternoon, I'd be like, okay, what are we drinking tonight? When can we start drinking?
Yeah.
And I just don't have that anymore. You know, it's not something I think about all the time. So
good.
That's really freeing.
Yes, it is. Yes. It's like you guys like can trust yourselves. I think especially like when Jeannie, you were talking about it, it's just like we're going in it in the beginning and we're like, oh, it's, you know, we can get pretty fast results right away. Right. But then to like, okay, is this real? Is this going to last? Then you start to trust yourself like, oh, I'm not going to overdrink. Like I'm not going to do it. Or if I do, it's just, I'm not worried about doing that so much. Like that worry for me was like so freeing. Like I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would panic that I had overdrank in the very beginning. I think I talk about this a lot. Like I'd still wake up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, like, you know, like panicking, and my heart would be racing. I'm like, it's okay. And then I just got to trust myself that when I went to sleep at night that I knew that I wasn't drunk, you know? And it took some time for me to trust myself. And I think there's a reason why it's the length that it is, but it's nice to give yourself that time, you know, especially in the beginning. Month 3, month 4, month 5, those are like critical months where you have got some success on your belt. You've probably experienced a few failures and you can still trust yourself no matter what. It's huge. Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. Congratulations again.
Thank you. All right, Mary.
Hi.
Hi.
All right, so going last, basically I just have to say ditto. I mean, we all said the same. I mean, it is really amazing to me that as close as girlfriends are with each other and the stuff that we all talk about with our own girlfriends, we talk about our marriage and really intimate stuff. This is like silent. I've never talked to other women about this stuff. I always thought that I was the only one that overdrank, even though everybody was keeping up with me and drinking the same amount. But I always thought I was the only one. And I think listening to all of this is such a perfect example. I think it was nice that you had a number of us, even though so much of it was repetitive. But that's the point. This is repetitive. We are women. We're all women. And we're all probably around the same age of 20s to 80s. And we're all experiencing the same thing. And it's crazy to me. I mean, my story is not any different. I was about to say I drank 7 days a week. It got worse with COVID. I drank used to drink 2 to 3 glasses a day. Then after COVID, it turned into a bottle a day, which to me was so shocking. But now listening to everybody else, you realize, that's called over drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my biggest fear was that I was so scared I was going to wind up in rehab. I was like, everyone in this town is going to know I live in a small town. And when one person goes to rehab or something happens, everyone knows. And then nobody wants to let their kids go over their house. And it's like, I didn't want to go to AA. I didn't want to wind up with that label. And I just kept quiet. You keep quiet and there's a shame. And I would be embarrassed. I was embarrassed for the most part every morning because my biggest problem was that I didn't remember the end of the night all the time. And so the morning would come up and I'd be like, why is this package still here? And my husband would be like, I told you last night the FedEx guy is coming today. I'm like, you never told me that. And it was that kind of stuff all the time. And I was so embarrassed that I would just start lying. I'm like, oh yeah, right. I remember that. And it was just, I missed out on so much with my teenage sons because I was always too drunk to stay awake. So I would stumble upstairs and be like, I'm going to bed. And they're like, okay, mom goes to bed at like 8,
Yeah.
That's because I started drinking at like 5. So now I didn't do the percentages, but my number's pretty good. I didn't think this would ever happen. This was not my ultimate goal, but I consider myself a non-drinker.
Wow.
I don't have any urges anymore, even though at the beginning it was like an ache in my jaw as I'm salivating. Like it was so real and so physical. Like it wasn't even just, oh, I really want it. It was like a physical urge. And I just never thought I would get to this point, and maybe it'll change, but I've experimented a couple times with 1 drink on a plan and 2, and it's just not fun for me anymore. I don't enjoy it the same way anymore because there was so much negativity associated with alcohol for me.
Yeah.
The horrible sleep and no clarity and the regret and the shame that now that I don't have any of that, I just don't need it. So right now it's not a part of my life. And I have to say I'm only halfway through my 3rd month and never in a million years, like I almost, before I Venmo'd you that money, I wanted like a written guarantee. Like, okay, so what's going to happen at the end of the 6 months if it doesn't work? And I kept I wanted proof, like, and you're just like, trust me, you just got to do the work. And I'm like, I know, but like, are you sure it's going to work? I just was so skeptical because we've all done dry January a million times. I've done, I'm not going to drink Monday through Thursday a million times. And it doesn't work because stopping the drinking doesn't figure out your problem with alcohol. Or the relationship.
The stopping the drinking doesn't solve the reason why you were drinking, right?
Not
so you just remove
all.
alcohol as an action, right? Is something that you do, but you're still left with how you feel about all the things. And usually what happens is that people just feel terrible still. They're like, well, I'm white knuckling. I'm just getting through this period of time without drinking, and they haven't fixed anything in their life, and they just go right back to drinking, right?
Yeah.
So removing it from your house, saying you're not going to drink, it's a tactic that will put some space between you and getting the alcohol, but it's not going to help improve your life so that you don't want to drink or need to drink to solve any things in your life from. Yeah.
It doesn't. And I really didn't believe you about the urges that, that it was I forget who said about the Pavlov dog, but that, your brain wants alcohol, and then you give it every single time. As soon as you stop giving in to those urges, you take it, it does decrease. I didn't believe you. I didn't believe you at the beginning, but
you must have believed something that you decided to sign up. So you binged the podcast, though, didn't you? Didn't you like binge the podcast over the weekend?
That's what I was going to say. I have two favorite things about the podcast. One is the hello
Aww.
every day. I love that so much. The 3 hellos is the best. It makes me smile.
Aww.
I love it. And then for me, the podcast, yes, the coaching part obviously is huge. The podcast did change my life though, because that's what got me into the whole thing. Is because, like Amy said, you were only talking to me. You finished every sentence. Now listen, Mary. Okay, Mary, I'm going to tell you this. Like, you weren't talking to anyone else. It was so specifically everything I was feeling. The cycle, the getting up in the morning. I'm not going to drink anymore, like Michelle said. And then 4 o'clock, you're like, is it 5 yet? I mean, all of it. You just were talking to me. And I can't be the only one. Me and Amy can't be the only ones that feel that way. So I honestly feel like you have a way of understanding exactly what the majority of women are feeling. You just have that way, because I'm sure there are other podcasts that people listen to that resonate with X number of people. And those people are affected, and that's great.
Yeah.
There's something about you and your delivery that resonates with an unbelievable amount of women that are in trouble. You know, we're moms. We are trying to get, have jobs. We're in trouble. And you rescued us. And it's just, I don't know. That podcast led me to you. Could I have done this alone by listening to 100 podcasts? Maybe. If I really believed in you and committed to listening to those podcasts and changing my life, I probably could have. So I want people to know, if you're not financially able to join, you're not just thrown to the wolves. Like, those podcasts are free. And I honestly think that if you want to do it, you can, because you do give the tools in that free program. Yes, this is a luxury. I feel blessed that I was able to do this program. My husband doesn't know that I've done the program. I borrowed the money from other people and he still doesn't know, but that's okay.
You're not the only one that
yes.
Yeah.
There are some of us that are lucky enough to be able to scrounge up this money. But you have dedicated so much of yourself that it's so obvious that you are not doing this for money. You have to support your family, and you have, I think you said that, I'm not sure when you said it, but for people that can afford it, then great, do it. But if you can't afford it, you're not going to be stuck and alone and in trouble.
Yes. I love that. I mean, I do more free stuff than I do paid stuff, the free classes and challenges and the podcast and all the videos and everything. I mean, there are tons of resources out there. So, that's why I don't do scholarships and things like that, because I offer so much free stuff. And, the people that really want to do it, figure out a way how to do it. Like, if you really want to join the coaching program, there's been all ranges of financial situations that come. If you want it, you see it. Just like we always figure out how to buy that second car, go on that vacation, buy that.
It's really unbelievable if all these people that are talking about hundreds of drinks, you figure out how much money we have all spent on alcohol for 20 plus years. And you're talking about this little chunk of money for 6 months that will change the rest of your life.
Amen. I mean, that's what I think. It's a no-brainer.
Yes. It's a no-brainer, but I do understand that it's not an option for everyone. So that is my favorite thing about the podcast. Is obviously you, but that it's available to everyone, no matter what. And it's also really private. Like, some people aren't into this sharing thing. I happen to love that, but there are other people that, don't want to go to AA and say, hi, my name is whatever, and don't want to join a group like this. Those podcasts, you put your headset in and you're walking your dog. No one knows what you're doing, and you're changing your life.
Love it. Thank you so much. Anything else?
You so much.
You've been a true treat to have in the program too.
Oh, thank you.
You make me a better coach, like all of you guys, and you're challenging me, and you're like, no, and you tell me things, I'm like, no. You help me be a better coach, and you guys give me juice for this podcast. Like, your consistencies and what everything comes up like at the same time, you guys know because you join a coaching call, like it's the same topic on every single person, right? So like your willingness to share and to challenge me too also helps me be a better teacher and share with the masses what I've learned from you all. So thank you so much. So thank you everybody for being on the podcast. It's been such an honor and treat. I want to tell you all about the prize that you won. You guys ready? That you earned by being on the podcast, and you're all muted, so I can't hear you, which is fine. But let me pull it up here. Wait for it. It's going to be a good one. So, one of my favorite authors is Jen Sincero. She's the author of You Are a Badass. You guys, I think most of you guys have read that book. But she just wrote another book. It's called Badass Habits. It's called Badass Habits, Cultivate the Awareness, Boundaries, and Daily Upgrades You Need to Make Them Stick by Jen Sincero. And she is doing a virtual book tour starting next month through January. And so I'm gifting you guys all her brand new book and a ticket to her online book event, which I will be attending with you. So I'm super excited to do that with all of you. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. So my assistant is going to be, you're welcome. Thank you all so much. My assistant Amanda is going to be reaching out to you. There's several dates and times that you can choose from. What date? I'll let you know which date I am if you want to pick the one that I'm going to do it, and we can all do it together. Or you can pick whatever date and time works for y'all. But you'll get the book and the pass to do it, and it's amazing. She's going to give a little workshop on developing badass habits. So I think it'll play in very well to what y'all have learned from the podcast and the program and all that fun stuff. So thank you.
Yay. Thank you, Angela.
You're so welcome.
This is amazing. This is great.
Yay. And for the rest of you guys, it is fun, right? Yeah, everybody wins. You guys are all big contributors to everything. So, and for the rest of the live attendees, like I said at the beginning, I'll know who attended live, and we're going to do a random drawing. I'm going to be giving away my favorite book bundle, So You Are a Badass, along with A Happier Hour and Susan Hyatt's Bear book. So that 3-book bundle will be one prize. I'm also awarding a 45-minute private coaching session with me, and then a $100 Amazon gift card. So there'll be 3 additional winners, and you all know it'll be live shared on the podcast next week. But we'll email you if you are the winner of those prizes. So that's what we got. You guys want to listen to a song?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, let me hit pause.
And you're going to dance for us. Remember?
Oh yes, I'm going to dance. Are you going to dance? Now you got to get up and dance. All right, thank you all. Holy cow, what an amazing time. Thank you all so much who came, showed up live, who came on and shared, who observed. I love you all so much. And listen, if you want to join me in the best Stop Over Drinking program that's ever been created, Stop Over Drinking and Start Living, get your applications in now. The link to do that is in the show notes. I am closing down registration in less than 3 weeks, and then I'm raising my prices for 2021. So get in now while the getting's good. All right, my friends, love you so much. Thank you for making 100 episodes the most magical. Thank you for your dedication, your feedback, and all of it. Have a wonderful night. Bye.